pleasure of introducing Sayeed Sanaullah, who serves as first vice president for corporate strategy and strategic planning at Wells Fargo. He helps reimagine the future of banking to meet evolving customer needs at Wells Fargo. He is a Wharton Fellow at the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School, and also a CFA charter holder. Sayeed, it's always a blessing for me to listen to you and learn from your experience and expertise and practice. So very much looking forward to your presentation today and sharing that with our global audience.
Good morning. Thank you, Jose, and thank you everyone for joining me this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending on which part of the country or which part of the world you are in, for learning more about advancing market segmentation. The spike balls which you see on this cover slide represents the coronavirus to highlight segmentation during and immediately after COVID pandemic. Advancing market segmentation to purposefully attract, meaningfully retain, and thoughtfully serve customers. The COVID-19 pandemic has been one of the most interesting social, economic, and consumption experiments in real time, with billions of people overnight changing pretty much everything about their habits. The COVID-19 pandemic is going to impact customer behaviors significantly in the near-term future. In fact, my own commute has been changed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. My commute has changed
Sayeed, your audio is not coming through right now. I'm not sure what happened. There's a problem with your audio. We cannot hear you right now. Hello, Sayeed. If you can hear me, I'm not sure why, but your audio is not coming through right now. Could you please check your audio settings on your computer? Hello, Saeed. We cannot hear you. Your audio, Saeed, your audio is not coming through. So I'm not sure if you're aware of it or if you can see us right now. But your audio is not coming through. Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for that, but it seems that Saeed is not aware that the audio is not coming through. He may be experiencing a problem with his connection at this point. Hello, Saeed. Your audio was not coming through. We could not hear you. So I had to interrupt your broadcast momentarily. If you can try to share your camera and check your audio system one more time. I'm giving Saeed presentation rights one more time here to see if he's able to log on back to the session. I think at this point, Saeed has experienced some local network issues where his transmission is not coming through to the rest of us. I'm not even sure if he's able to hear me right now. So I'm gonna give it another minute or so, and we may need to postpone his presentation. He may need to log out and log back in to the session to be successful at it. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be offline momentarily. I'm gonna try to support Saeed and our teams who are already working with him to see if he can log back into the session. If he does, we will continue until 45 minutes past the hour. If he is not able to reconnect back with us, we will meet you again at the top of the hour when we introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker will come directly from Melbourne in Australia, and we hope that it will be work. Saeed, are you able to hear us now? We see your presentation and we see you on camera now. We just cannot hear you. There may be something on the settings of your microphone. Yeah, we can see you, Saeed, but we cannot hear you. Try to play with the settings of your microphone a little bit to see if we can hear. Yeah, I see you increasing the volume on your computer right now, but I still cannot hear your voice or any sound that's coming through. You may want to go under the audio tab on the GoToWebinar interface and just make sure that you have selected the right computer audio setting, and then on that to pick the right microphone in your system. So again, under the many tabs that you have on the GoToWebinar, you should have one that says audio, and under that tab, there is computer audio, phone call, and no audio. You could choose computer audio and just make sure that in the drop-down menu that you're picking your computer microphone or any other microphone you have there available for the broadcast.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, sorry, apologies. I think something got with
It's
my connectivity.
the beauty of technology, Saeed. We had
Yes.
plans, but then technology happens.
Yes.
So very well. I'm glad that we got you back on track. So you still have plenty of time. So I'm going to ask you to share your presentation and carry on.
Sure. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, I would share my presentation.
I'll
Okay.
confirm for you that on this end that we can see your presentation without problems. So after you launch it, you go into the GoToWebinar interface under sharing, and then you show the screen to the audience.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't see an option to share my screen.
Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, it's possible that the system kicked you off as a presenter. Yes, it did. So that's not you now. That was me because I have to reassign you as a presenter. So I apologize for that, Saeed.
No worries.
So you should be getting now the ability to share from your machine. There we go. Very good. Yeah, launch it and then just launch the PowerPoint where you were stopped, which was, by the way, in your second slide, that right there.
Yes.
So I'm gonna remove myself. Please do carry on. We still have 30 minutes until until we have to close the session. So carry on at your pace.
Sure. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Apologies for some technical issues, but I'm glad with the help of Jose and others on the organizing team, I'm back live. Hope you can hear me and see my slides. So my own commute has changed from hallways to highways. I have been working from home for more than a year now. People on the front lines are courageously fighting COVID-19 while bank employees are providing essential services throughout the pandemic. The last time there was a global crisis, banks were widely perceived to be a big part of the problem. This time around, banks are central to the solution. We have certainty that COVID-19 will change the face of retail banking. Agnostic to the severity of COVID-19, we will see 4 key themes. First, around government, community, and society. There will be increased expectation for banks to play a societal role and offer return beyond the focus on shareholders. For clients and customers, we need to fundamentally reevaluate their willingness to take financial risk. For work model and behavior, remote operating models will come up, which may benefit as well as increase inconvenience for employers and employees alike. In terms of bank strategy, transformation, and investments, the COVID-19 context and the conditioning of digital interactions will break or continue to break the inertia of digital adoption. The collaboration witnessed between the banks and government will increase and as economy safely reopens. Governments and banks have partnered to deliver an unprecedented volume of financial support to borrowers. Likewise, banks have responded to the need of borrowers by implementing mortgage deferral and credit card interest relief. For clients and customers, the coronavirus pandemic has shaken up many people from feelings of material prosperity and caused much anxiety in rethinking about their lives. The unique nature of lockdowns or shelter at home, widespread sudden unemployment, and the prospect of living in masks and gloves for months are having an impact. In a JD Power Financial Services survey, 1 in 4 respondents said their financial stress has gone up a lot, and another 30% said it has gone up a little. The immense economic impact of the response to coronavirus pandemic is driving a change in attitudes towards money in America. The national stay-at-home shutdown slammed the brakes on the booming economy in a way never before seen, and suddenly many people who had perhaps never seen or even thought about coming up with a budget had to learn very quickly how to do so. Remote operating models will evolve at an accelerated pace and will drive both benefits and stresses for employers and employees alike. All organizations need to consider the extent to which they will support a more virtual operating model, balancing the sentiment of workers, the cost management opportunity, and the possible trade-offs to productivity. New capabilities also need to be developed to support increasingly mixed workforce on-premise and off-premise, as well as capabilities to help junior and new employees to develop and grow in the organization. Banks will have to look into systemic stability and infrastructure modernization initiatives to enhance future resilience. The crisis has highlighted the need to upgrade payments infrastructure, especially around identification and authentication. Government payouts require proof that certain conditions are met, and the advent of enhanced data could address pandemic use cases. So with that background about the pandemic, its impact on banks, customers, employees, and governments, we need to think about market segmentations differently. And I've highlighted 3 key capabilities. So non-demographic traits such as values, tastes, and preferences were more likely to influence customer decisions than their demographic traits. Advancing market segmentation using 3 capabilities will help broaden the use of segmentation to not just advertising, but also product innovation, pricing, choice of distribution channels, and other strategic options. So first, identify a strategic decision that would benefit from information about different customer segments. Second, determine which customers drive profits. And third, analyze actual and potential customer, product, or service choice decision and behavior. So such segments will reflect the company's strategy, indicate where sources of revenue or profit may lie, identify customers' values, attitudes, and beliefs as they relate to product or service offering. It could also help to focus on actual customer behavior and accordingly accommodate or anticipate changes in markets or consumer behavior. So different segmentation could be used for different purposes. So we could go through 4 different ways of segmenting elements: population studied, data sources tabbed, analytical tools used, and outputs. Psychographic segmentations can be used to create advertising that would influence consumers to think warmly about a particular brand, but they are not as well suited for other purposes. You would need a different kind of non-demographic segmentation to investigate, for example, what kind of products to make. Here on the screen, you could see the different characteristics for segmentation for 2 different objectives. One is around advertising, the other is around new products. So segmentations to develop advertising and segmentation to develop new products. For population studied, it could be users of product or service to be advertised for developing advertising, whereas for segmentation to develop new products, it has to be around users of related products or services that already meet similar needs, as well as developing partnerships such as with distributors and retailers. So the output from the surveys, from the analytical tools for advertising will be segments that differ in their responses to a given message, whereas for developing new products, it will be around segments that differ in their purchasing power, goals, aspirations, and even behavior. So likewise, in the current COVID-19 pandemic situation, there could be other different purposes. That's one could be the balance between having branch versus digital channels, or if a particular bank wants to just maintain a domestic presence versus an international presence, or even investing or partnering with fintech providers. So there could be multiple different such strategic choices, and segmentation could also help to move towards an optimal strategic choice. So for customers, there are different decision types. The shallowish decision for the customer could be around functional, simple products and services. For middle of the spectrum decisions, it could be around complex financial needs and goals. Whereas the deepest decisions could be around life-altering financial products and service choice. Those could be around 401k plan or getting life insurance or other protection products. So what should the segmentation try to find out, and what is at stake? Knowing how important a product or service is to your customers will help decide which of their expectations are most likely to reveal their willingness to sign up for a product or service. If your products are purely functional, you will probably want to investigate such garden variety factors as the price sensitivity and brand loyalty of potential customers. But if such customers are facing life-altering choices, which they are during this current COVID-19 health crisis, you will want to inquire about their deeply held beliefs. So we could look at a 3x3 matrix around shallow decisions, middle of the spectrum decisions, deepest decisions across issues the bank want to address, consumers' concerns, and what the segmentation should try to find out. So for shallowish decisions, it could be small improvements on existing products, selecting a particular media campaign, or changing prices. And the consumers would think concerns would be around new product claims, how to evaluate a given product, or even they can think of whether they should switch the products even with the same financial services firm. So what the segmentation should try to find out for the seller's decision is buying and usage behavior, willingness to pay a small premium for higher quality, or how loyal the customers could be. For the middle of the spectrum decisions, it could be positioning of the brand or even developing an entirely new product. So the customer's concerns would be whether they should visit a branch or just continue on an online channel, or even for middle of the spectrum decision, they might even think of switching one's bank. So the segmentation should try to find out how the customer wants to operate. And there could be a continuum between do-it-yourself customers to do-it-for-me types. So customer needs better service, convenience, and functionality. For segmentation, you should also try to find out how do the customer view their self-image and the lifestyle. For the deepest decisions, the banks should revise the business model in response to powerful social forces, changing how people live their lives. And that is happening at this time. People are working remotely. Some companies are moving from working in office drive profits. To be a valid segmentation, a segmentation must identify groups that matter to a company's financial performance. To start, companies can rank their own customers by profitability so as to concentrate the right amount of attention on them. But to grow revenues, a company should understand what makes its best customers as profitable as they are, and then seek new customers who share at least a couple of those characteristics. So there could be opportunities for incremental revenue growth. There could be opportunities for higher profit for the bank. And they could even focus on whether they should deepen their student loan portfolio, or whether the banks could offer financial advice using packaged products or portfolio customized financial needs, or even depending upon the scale cost structure of the bank, figure out a different segments of customers to drive their profits. So the period of this COVID-19 pandemic, the self-isolation, economic certainty will change the way that consumers behave. This new consumer behaviors span all areas of life, from how we work to how we shop, to how we entertain ourselves. These rapid consumer behavior are still being formed, giving companies an opportunity to help shape the next new normal. And behavior changes are not linear, and their stickiness will depend on satisfaction of new experiences. There could be ups and downs ahead of the stickiness of a behavior. So what will make the behavior stick? Even if it is a forced behavior on the customer, maybe just use a digital channel or phone banking or other remote ways of banking, it will depend on the stickiness of the behavior will depend a lot on the satisfaction. So the value-driven behaviors will continue to stay. And customers want help making good choices. Behavior changes will reshape customers' decision journeys, and companies will need to adapt fast and understand what are my customers actually doing, how they utilize offline, online, and hybrid service channels. Behavior changes will reshape consumer decision journeys, and banks needs to make it simple for the customers as well to adapt and start using new ways of banking. So the COVID-19 pandemic has severely disrupted global consumption, forcing or permitting people to unlearn old habits and adopt new ones. A study on habit formation suggests that the average time for a new habit to form is 66 days, with a minimum of 21 days. The pandemic has already lasted long enough in many countries to significantly change habits that had been the foundation of demand and supply. So we need to categorize behavior shifts according to where they are likely to be short-term or long-term, and whether they have existed before the pandemic or are new since it began. So if we put those behaviors into 4 key buckets, one could be around boost, that is temporary acceleration, and that we see in the savings rate increase by the customers. The personal savings rate rose to 13.7% in January, far higher than the pre-pandemic level of roughly 8%. Excluding last year, the savings rate is at the highest level since 1975. However, as the economy improves, as the customers become more financially secure with their employment, this could be just a temporary boost. There are lasting acceleration in terms of catalyst like digital channel adoption. There are temporary shifts like in terms of displacements, like majority of employees working on from home, as well as new innovation or new trend like hybrid working model, working on premise, working off premise, as well as working from anywhere. So in terms of idea in the brief, it's all about figuring out what the challenge is, how the winners could be determined, and what the approach could be. So even in severe economic downturns and recessions, some companies are able to gain advantage. And for winners, a shock like COVID-19 pandemic can produce lasting changes in behavior, and those firms quickly spot the changes or adjust their business models to reflect them and are not afraid to make investments. So the approach should be that to understand customers, segment in new ways to understand where their banking needs are in terms of savings, in terms of investment, or in terms of protection, or even just trying to manage their finances. And even with those 3 approaches of market segmentation, what we could face is unpredictable market changes. So revise your segmentation as market conditions change. Unlike personality traits, which usually endure through life, consumers' attitude, needs, and behavior can change quickly with new market conditions. So be willing to redraw your segments to reflect new realities. So there could be a passing storm where customers' attitudes and behaviors just return to the past norm. There could be positive outcome even coming out of this COVID-19 pandemic, that the customers become more trusting of banks. And that could depend on how banks serve the customers, how they understand the needs, how they segment the customers to make more focused service and product offering. There could be also a good impact that the customers become trusting of the technology. There could be even not so nice output. I hope it doesn't happen, that the customer behavior shifts to become more risk averse and savings oriented as the pandemic persists. But of course, hopefully, once the pandemic impacts around employment are reduced, the customer behavior shifts back to being more financially savvy and being more financially comfortable with spending. So in those unpredictable market changes, banks could also think of dynamic customer segmentation. So what it means is using real-time customer data to create fluid customer segments that consist of individuals that move in and move out of the segment based on the specific criteria. And the definition of customer segments can adapt over time as a brand or the bank builds up more data and information and starts to understand people. And there could also be a propensity modeling for dynamic segmentation. What it means is to predict customer behavior. It surfaces insights which allows to course correct the definition and composition of target audience groups. And what could help with such prediction or dynamic segmentation is leveraging AI, artificial intelligence. So if the banks could embed AI to make the shift from static to dynamic segmentation, it will help better manage the unpredictable market changes. So effectively, the segment customers by understanding actual products, service decision behavior, and update customer segments as behaviors, attitudes, and needs change as the pandemic progresses or as the economy comes back to its previous peak or economy continues to recover. Thank you.
Fantastic, Sayeed. Well done. Despite all the technological hurdles, we have overcome it and come to a great presentation and conclusion. Thank you for your passion, for your discipline, for your resilience in getting this done today. I think there were some things related to your maybe either your PC or your network connection that were slowing down the broadcast, and I'm really glad that we worked through that. We have a few minutes here still for questions, so I'm gonna relay those questions to you, and you talk about several critical concepts here. Early on today, we had a panel discussion where financial leaders from JP Morgan, Chase, Alliance Data, UiPath were all discussing, issues related to automation. And one of the comments was that traditional strategy is dead. And part of that is because, the unprecedented rate of change that we're experiencing, some of the things that you discussed, alluding to this process of continuous strategic planning that takes place now. Because, you can't predict what's going to happen 3 or 5 years from now. And, with the state of rapid change in the world. So One initial question is that I capture from the commentary in the audience as you presented is that if you could go a little bit further on customer behaviors post-pandemic, as you plan, forget about the next 5 years, as you plan the next few months, potentially we see a light at the end of the tunnel here with the pandemic. We may be moving to a hybrid model of work with remote work and office work, still being combined permanently. What type of customer behavior changes when it comes to banking and financial services have kind of have drawn your attention and have kind of like, well, this is interesting? Is there anything out there on this new phase in terms of customer behaviors that you're paying attention to and kind of not sure which way it's going to go, and you think it's important and you're monitoring?
Sure, that's a great question, Jose, and I really like how you set it up with strategic planning becoming much more dynamic. So in terms of specific customer behavior across the industry, is that customers are becoming comfortable with the digital channels. Customers also need help in terms of learning more about the digital channel. However, as the economy recovers, as the shelter at home or the consumers become more comfortable with just going out, enjoying life, how would that usage of digital channels shift? How much of that will shift back to branches? That is one in terms of channels. The second is in terms of certain deferrals around mortgage payments and credit balances or the credit cards around the products. So how would that, or how soon that would recover? So some of the jobs are coming back, a lot of jobs are coming back. However, the higher paying jobs are still much more difficult. So how would that consumers' income would change over time, and accordingly, what are the right products or services that needs to be offered? So that's around the products and services. And the third is just around continuing to build on the trust with the customers have with the bank, with the technology they use, with different kind of security system, with different kinds of authentication, how to further enhance or increase the customer's comfort with using the digital channels, and in which way or which shape that would take. So those are three key behaviors, I will say. Again, to summarize, one would be around the usage of digital or online channels versus the offline channels, branches, or even the hybrid model. That continues to change and how to adapt to that. Second is around products and services, and the third is around increasing customers' comfort with authentication, with security of the banks. So that could also alter as the pandemic evolves or as the economy recovers and improves.
Thank you very much for that, Saeed. We are up on time right now, partially because of the delays that we had early on. But thank you so much for getting through, presenting these concepts of continuous strategic planning and the customer behavior, market segmentation, incredibly useful perspectives that will certainly add to the insights and practices that our global audience is interested in as they attend this event. So thank you again for taking the time to share your expertise with us, for working through the technical difficulties and still delivering a great presentation and insightful view of the world of strategy and financial services in such a critical moment of transition.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your patience, organization's patience, as well as the conference audience patience as I worked through the technical challenges at my end. It was with my laptop and with my network connectivity, but it was a pleasure sharing my knowledge and my insights with the audience. And for audience, please feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, or if you would like to interact more, I'm open to interacting over digital media. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much, Saeed. That was Sayeed Sanaullah. What a great lesson on overcoming challenges in times of rapid change. You know, have we not just done a bit of a role model playing here with that, huh? And terrific, and that shows that in a time of great uncertainty and rapid change, we're gonna have things that are not gonna go as we plan, and how we respond to those challenges, and the lessons that we learn from them are critical. And so a great demonstration of that, impromptu to a large extent, and of course the terrific concepts related to strategic planning in financial services in this new era of rapid change and uncertainty. So thank you very much for that, Saeed. We are going to wrap up the session, and we'll be back at the top of the hour. And we'll be back with a very special presentation from Beverly Hartson, who is the group credit leader for the Adecco Group. And she's going to be talking about transforming the business of the future, and talking about change, and the fact that change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and hopefully gorgeous at the end, if there is a never end to the change. So we're going to examine those topics. Very much looking forward to Beverly's presentation. She's an award-winning leader, recognized in multiple forums for her leadership of positive change. So we'll provide you with her bio and introduction at the top of the hour, and we'll see you back soon.